The Originals episode 15, the Grand Guignol. This was a really good episode. It really, especially the ending, it leads up to something that I feel like is going to be an amazing episode next week. But this one was really good. I was excited that we got to see the complete flashback when, the Originals, when their father did actually come to town, because I thought, with last week's episode, we kind of got all the answers, so we wouldn't get to actually see the guy who, like plays their father come back into the series. But fortunately, we did get to see that, and I really enjoyed it. For anyone who watches Arrow, you might know how they do flashbacks in Arrow all the time. It kind of reminded me of that, and it was like, because they've been doing that, kind of since they introduced the whole plot line that Marcel and Rebekah kind of wanted Rebecca's father to come in to get rid of Klaus so that they could be together. And I was excited to see the finale of the sort of flashbacks, and it was really really well done. I really enjoyed it, and one of my favorite parts was the fact that they literally had everything they wanted. When Klaus did realize, he was like, look at them pretending that they're not together when they obviously are. And he stopped the music and stuff, and he brought up the fact that he knows they're together, and he says, be happy, I want you to be happy. And then he goes to talk to Rebecca and says, like, I always stopped anyone who kind of fell in love with you because we always had to run, and you'd always lose the love that you had. But now we don't have to run, we have a home here, be happy. I thought that it was just an amazing thing that I didn't expect. I figured he still would have been the exact same person, but just before everything was just taken away from him, he was happy. He wanted, Rebecca and Marcel to be together. It's like, we have a home here. We're, prosperous. We own all this. We own all that. Everybody loves us, and or at least everybody follows us, and we can do whatever we want and be happy without our father coming after us to take us out. And I thought that was just really cool to see that sort of contrast where he was at the height of his life, really, where he had his family, he had friends, he had Marcel, and just everybody was, he had exactly what he was, exactly what he's looking after in the series, which was, a family and people that followed him not out of fear, but, out of respect, and they had everything. And then, it had been 6 months since the spell was cast, and, Rebecca and Marcel figured with her being dead, it must have failed or something like that, but, her dad was there, and it was really good to see him come back into the series. I actually forgot that he was a vampire too, or an original too. I thought he was just kind of like I can't even think of the name, but the people from the Vampire Diaries who can basically just like take out vampires. I thought he was one of them, but he was just an original too, and he was of course stronger because technically he was older, so he was even stronger than his kids in a sense, because when he was fighting against Elijah, it was fairly even. But it was really good to see him come back, and it was great when they were at the opera and he was talking to Klaus. And I love those scenes that we get because it's so rare when we get to see Klaus when he's in distress. And in this specific portion of the episode, he was he was in fear of his life. He knew, like, if he's here, then no wonder things are so weird right now. Like, Marcel isn't here and we can't find Elijah, things are pretty crazy right now. And then his dad comes up behind him and puts a stake to his back, the only thing that can actually kill him. And it's like, well, now I understand why things have been sort of weird, why we aren't just enjoying our lives right now. And it's because our father's come back into town, and he's gonna kill me, or at least he's gonna try to. And I love the little conversation they had and stuff. And then the play starts and he's trying to help Marcel, and he's talking to Cammy and trying to let her know, like, this is why I'm so furious at Rebecca. Like, she caused like one of the worst moments in my life, and it was when I really lost the last little bit of my humanity because of my father. And something she says to him is like, don't become your father, don't be that guy. And he talks about how he's not going to do that, but I love at the end of the episode they show the exact parallel where he's walking through the cemetery yelling out to Rebecca, and then they go right to the scene of his father, so to speak, running, walking through the streets yelling out to get him to come to him. And it was just a really good episode. Obviously that was the main story of it that was just like amazing. That was my favorite part, was that main story, but the side story was also amazingly well done. Haley took out Celeste and had her captured, and she got Celeste to make her a cure for all the werewolves so that they can remain human for the whole month and then only be wolves during the one time instead of it being reversed. And it brought up an interesting thing where Celeste was like, once Elijah kind of took the cure and took Celeste away because he assumed Celeste was tricking Haley, she was like, no, that's a real cure, and I did it because no matter what you do in this situation, I get my revenge. Because if you don't give her the cure, obviously she'll hate you for not letting her have her family, and if you give her the cure, she'll be happy, but she won't be with you because she'd rather be with her family. And so it was cool that convinced him, like, she's so caught up in her revenge against the originals that she really would make this actual cure. So it was cool to see that, and I can't wait to see get that episode where Haley does get all her werewolf family, and she does give them that cure, and then it brings in the werewolves even more so, and that'll probably lead up to like the second season, because maybe someone will be let out who was actually like a bad guy or something that we haven't actually been introduced to yet, who might have some crazy connection and actually wants to take out the originals as well. But it was really well done, and in the end, Elijah, when he goes to talk to I can't think of her name, but Sophie's niece, when he gives her the spell to say, like, Celeste is only wrapped up in taking out me and my family. If I'm wrong, though, hey, no big deal, I'm just gonna be screwed. But if I'm right, use that spell and you can send her to someone else's body. And of course he was right, and he got his revenge in the end of this episode. And I actually thought that was a really amazing way to sort of wrap that up, because they killed off two of the witches, so that leaves Sophie's niece and the one witch who brought their father into town, because they're the only two left now. And so they have to kill off the witch that brought their father into town, and Davina's been brought back. So if they leave those two, if they kill off the third witch, someone else may or may not come back. I doubt they will, but one of the other girls probably would actually come back, because I feel like if anyone dies off, someone else is brought back at this point. So if they kill her off, maybe a third girl will come back to life, or maybe there'll be some random person that comes back to life. Who knows? But Davina came back to life, and that was a really quick scene. They kind of glanced over it because there was so much to do in this episode, but she's alive now, so that was really cool to see. And we'll have to see that interaction between her and Sophie's niece, and how they kind of decide, are we going to just live out our lives together, or do we, sacrifice ourselves so that the harvest can officially complete itself, which I guess technically it did, but at the same time it didn't, because, Celeste stole all that magic power, so the girls didn't resurrect. So technically none of the magic left into the earth, but she is dead now. So, maybe that's why Davina came back to life, because technically that was the completion of the harvest. But, we'll kind of have to see. I assumed it was just because she died off, and how they've been doing it lately was like, when the first guy who died off, once he was dead, they brought back the woman who was connected to Rebekah and Marcel. So, we'll kind of have to see if it is because the harvest is completed, and I hope so, because that would be cool to see the other two girls come back, because I'm sure they'd find a way to make that a good storyline as well. But we'll have to see how that officially plays out. And also, with the older witch dying off, that kind of leads to the fact that, with her being the one who cast the spell, they're going to have to find someone to release this spell off of Cammie's uncle, because, he's mentioned in this episode, and I enjoyed that they brought Cammie in, because they didn't really have any mention of Cammie, or her uncle, but he's been hexed, so it's getting worse, and they're gonna have to find someone, otherwise he'll be killed off. And I don't think they'll kill him, because he's a pretty integral part of the series, but we don't really know yet, because they do kind of kill people and bring them back, so we'll have to wait and see. But love the episode, can't wait to see exactly what happens next week. I'm assuming Klaus isn't gonna kill Rebekah, just because it's the show, they are the originals. I highly doubt she's gonna die, but I'm really excited to see exactly how that plays out, and also what the side story is gonna be, because I assume it's gonna be something with, um, Davina coming back to life, and them kind of trying to figure out how exactly we continue on with, sort of which tradition, since we've all been like, some of us have been tricked. Sophie's been killed off by her niece, and who knows if Davina will kind of go against her friend because of that. And we'll just have to see how that plays out. And like I said, the one witch who was connected to Rebekah and Marcel by bringing Rebekah's father in, they're gonna have to kill her off too. So excited to see if one of those plot lines is the side story. But of course, the main story is going to be really interesting to see, you know, Klaus going after Rebekah, and then Elijah protecting Rebekah with the sort of the hex knife, which can definitely take out Klaus, at least temporarily. It won't kill him, but Klaus does have like the final weapon when he made his own white oak stake. So excited for next week. But comment below, let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Favorite parts, least favorite parts. And I guess the biggest question is, do you guys think that what Celeste made for Haley really is a cure, or do you guys think that that's going to lead into some other crazy storyline where, the wolves get, they might turn human, but they could be, insane or something? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.